Hey, high rollers, Jen Smith here. I am here with the Steins from SteinArtStudio in Orlando, Florida. They are running an incredible $500,000 newborn maternity studio after moving their studio across the country during a pandemic. In 2 years, they have literally built a $500,000 studio. So I'm so excited to get started with them. We have so many maternity and newborn photographers that listen to this podcast that are in our High Rollers Club group on Facebook. So I'm super excited to kind of dig into their story a little bit. And also we have a huge announcement, which I can't wait to talk about. So let's actually wait until the end of this or should we talk about in the beginning? Let's wait until the end of the podcast because we'll just talk a little bit about your story and where you came from and where you are now. And then we'll kind of go back and we'll talk about this huge announcement, which I can't wait to talk about. So, all right, well, tell me about yourselves. You weren't always photographers. What did you do before? And also, you have a very interesting story leading up to moving to the United States. So maybe, Christina, do you want to say a little bit? Do you want to tell a little bit about that story?
Hi, Jen. Hi, everyone. At the beginning, I had a passion for photography since I was a little child. In fact, when I was 12, I got my first job, and I worked so hard to raise money for my first camera. It was like my first achievement. And since then, I was doing more of the hobby photography. I was learning, during the years. And, like everyone, you start like taking pictures of everyone and everything. But anyway, I had that cute thing of taking pictures of babies, of new life. And I loved my baby girls. I have Caitlin, I have Elizabeth, I have two girls. We moved to the United States. I am a forensic investigator.
Where did you move
from? So we moved from Israel. By profession, I worked all my life as forensic investigator. I was not all my life photographer, but I always had that passion for artistic side. I was always painting, handcrafting, doing all that artistic. So that side of mine took over my forensic. Okay. And I started taking pictures. Caitlin joined. She was a young girl that time. She joined. And now
how old was Caitlin whenever she joined?
I was a junior in high school.
Which is amazing. I remember the first time we met in person last year at the conference and you spoke, right, Caitlin? And we had a happy hour right after that. Yeah. And I was like, great, are you coming to happy hour? And she's like, yeah, I can't drink yet. And I was like, what? Are you serious? You just spoke at a huge conference and you're not even old enough to drink. Huge accomplishment. You have just built this business. And basically, when I was 20, I was not running businesses at all. I was not doing that. My mom was still doing my laundry. So I don't, but that's so impressive. So you guys came from California.
Yeah. I wanted to add just a little thing when Caitlin joined, she joined with business side. And I can proudly say that she developed this business. I am more with artistics. I'm doing pictures, photographers, they manifest themselves. And she's the one we need to do that. This is the business. We need to earn money.
Good. Yeah. I mean, I think
even today, I just wanted to add this really quickly. Today I had an 8K sale and that's I try not to qualify people in my head, but their session was a show. She had a 1.5-year-old, a 5-year-old, and then the baby. And they were screaming the entire time. If the baby wasn't screaming, it was her kids. And they were running around. I have no idea how we took the pictures. And then I was doing uniform, and after uniform, I called my mom and was oh my God, they were a high sale. We didn't expect that. Their session was a show. And then
Right.
she's like, yeah, I don't know if the pictures were like the best, or like, I'm like, Mom, it doesn't matter.
If I'm good
Capture their
enough, if I'm
family.
good enough, like,
It matters how
I'm so
they.
critical.
No, we
I'm so
captured their
critical with my
family.
work.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, because you guys work in tandem, you work together, and I have known some other like team photography, like you work as a unit, and I know a few other ones, but I think the way that you guys operate is so cool, because when you're shooting, Christina's behind the camera most of the time, right? But Caitlin is posing and directing. So
Yeah.
you really like work in unison. And did you always work like that, or is that something that you've kind of like developed and moved into as you've grown as business owners?
So we've definitely developed that, but not like as a plan. So how it happened, I still remember the first ever newborn shoot. My mom was like, I need help to like spot the baby. And I was in high school, and it was like after school. And then she's like, can you come home and help me, with the baby? And I was like, sure, I'll help you. So it was like in our living room, but like part of our kitchen area at home. And then she did everything. I was just there to like watch the baby. And when you start, it's never perfect. So we were always like, how can we make this look better? Things like that. And then what happened is we started doing more workshops, and I was like, maybe we should go to this workshop. Maybe we should go to this one to like start learning more about like the baby and the posing and the photography and everything. And I honestly cannot pinpoint a time where I was the one who took the baby and positioned the baby. I do not remember that, but it was
I don't as well.
right. Like, when did that happen? I have no idea.
Yeah.
But like,
It just
it
moved
just
to that
happened.
organically.
Yeah, it just happened. And then I was the one, I guess, because she was always the one behind the camera. Since I was there, I was trying to do everything else. So it just developed to where I was doing everything with the baby, and then she was taking the picture. So that just kind of happened. And then I was always the one. I started over the business side because she did a lot, but it was like we weren't booking clients. What's wrong? So I was actually the one who found you and Humberto, and then just following up with all the business stuff from there.
And what year did you join Mastermind? Because you actually joined the Boudoir Mastermind, and then you took it.
Yeah.
And you even came to like retreats with us. Like you did. And you guys were not shooting boudoir, but you joined the Boudoir Mastermind as newborn maternity photographers and like really molded it into what you needed, which we'll get to in a little bit. But what year, when did you guys join Mastermind?
2019.
2019. And so when you joined, how much were you making? Like, what was your average sale? Were you doing IPS then?
So us before finding you at all, it was we were doing like the 450 shoot and burn. And even with that, we weren't getting that much clients because we had no idea about like marketing and things like that. Like, we just had zero learning of that. So what I did first before buying the course is buy your IPS video and your pricing. So just with like those two things, I remember we had like a 5K sale.
That's amazing.
And then we're like, okay, that's it. We're buying the course. We just made the money to buy the course.
That's amazing.
So I still remember to this day, like we were like learning about in-person sales and just using our pricing. We just had a high sale and we were like, okay, that's it.
That's great. And so now when you first started, yearly, you probably weren't making that much because you were doing this shoot and burn. But then last year, so this is what, like 2 or 3 years later, right? Since like officially doing it.
So what happened is 2019, we were doing the shoot and burn. We started in like 2017, my mom started, and then 18-19 we was just like at home. And 18, was it 18 or 19 that you opened the studio in California?
19 and 20 March of 2019 we launched the Boudoir Mastermind.
Oh, okay.
When I rented the studio, it was early 18 when I rented the commercial studio.
Yeah, so we rented in 18. So 18-19 we were in California, shoot and burn. We weren't really making enough, like not enough, but we weren't really making money. It was more like, it was enough money to like pay the rent, and that's it, if that.
Right.
So because rent in California was expensive.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so in 19, I was in college at that point. So I was like, I was doing, so I was like, I need to help my mom. She's having this whole thing. I was like, how can we like turn this into more like make more money? So that's when I found you guys. And then we were starting to implement the whole course. I was having consults, I was like booking people. And then COVID hit.
Right.
Now, we've always planned to move to Florida. It was just never the right time. And then COVID hit, and it was like, now it's the right time.
Yeah.
Because we weren't doing anything else. So we literally ended our lease for the studio in California and then moved to Florida. And really because that's when we started implementing the course and all the new knowledge, is when we started really getting results. And I was shocked. I was scared. I was like, I know Jen talks all about like, this is what she would do if she moved across the country, but like actual doing it, it's like,
Right.
like,
Do you remember
Like,
first time when you took like $3,000? Like, oh my gosh, they paid me $3,000. Remember that?
yeah, it was just like, it was crazy. And we started like in December. And then January, February is when we really started making more money. I think January we did like 14,000, and then February was like 20 grand, and then slowly just went up from there.
That's great.
Which is crazy to think, like 3 months into Florida, like no one
Yeah.
knew us. And
Right.
we were barely running any ads. It was all like organic from partnerships and just like getting out there. Like I say this story all the time. It's like we were trying to do everything. We were going to Target and putting business cards and like baby stuff.
You're the perfect case study for starting a business, because even though you were shooting before, you picked up and moved to an entirely new market. And basically, like, that's what people who are just opening their doors and opening their businesses, that's what they do, right? They might not move across the country, but they are starting fresh. So the fact that you did it and you didn't know anyone, you didn't have any, like, if you're starting a business in the place where you live, at least you have connections.
Friends, right?
You're
Yeah.
starting a business in a place where you did not live, did not have connections, starting fresh. It's such an impressive case study. And which leads me to why we have what our big announcement is. And we've decided, and we've built this partnership, and we are officially launching a newborn maternity mastermind with the Steins. They're incredibly talented, incredible business people, and they, have really taken what we've given them in Boudoir Mastermind and turned it into a successful recipe for newborn maternity, which there are so many newborn maternity photographers out there that are just shooting and burning and throwing the money and just like, throwing away money. They're walking away from money. So I know I've already been asked this question a few times. And right now we're about ready to launch the beta. So we have about 15 spots left in the beta, which means that it will be cheaper. It'll be less expensive because, we're figuring it out and we're just posting, and we're going to be tweaking some stuff. So what is the big difference you feel between Boudoir Mastermind and Newborn Maternity Mastermind? Because that is going to be a question that, I'm sure people are thinking right now.
Yeah. Well, as the one who took the Boudoir Mastermind and kind of tweaked it for our business, and then now have like written a whole new mastermind, there's so many differences. It's like every single thing, it's like a little bit different, because it's like it's a different market.
A different market.
Yeah. And I would say like it's a lot of question. I'm like,
that is a loaded question. So definitely the shooting to sell, right? Like,
yeah,
we are shooting babies and newborns.
Yeah, one of the first thing that has come up, because I've been doing calls for the regular mastermind students for a month or 2 months now, 3 months. One of the things come up is, how do you get so many pictures with the baby?
That is a great question.
Most people that I know show like 20 to 30 images from a session. We show 100 plus images. So like, how do you get so many pictures? So the shooting to sell is big, because You have to learn to be able to shoot enough pictures so that you can get to those high end.
Right, so you can sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest mistake that photographers make is they might have a collection, their highest collection is 50 images, so they show 50 images, right? Because they might not want to edit, they might not want to shoot that extra 30, 40 minutes or something like that, or an hour, but it makes such a big difference at the end because no matter what, like psychology of sales is people are going to want to call down. They're going to want to take images away. So if you're starting at 50, they're going to want to call down 20, and then guess what? You're stuck at 30. So it's so important that you're showing these images, that you have enough to show. So we're definitely covering that. And then your IPS method too has some really cool innovations that are very specific to newborn maternity.
Yeah.
And whenever we were going over this material and we were talking about it, I was like, oh, that's so smart.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to share all of that. And the beta will officially start in about 2 weeks. I think the 3rd of April. So we are coming up on it now. So if you're watching this, or you're listening to the podcast, drop us a message. Let me know. You can write it right in the comments. Say hello or me, and we will message you and get you started. We can have a call to talk about the course. And we'll only be doing the beta for another few weeks, and then it will be regular priced. So if you want to get in on a discount and you want to grab the beta, now would be the time to do it. So if what would be some advice that you would have for newborn photographers that are just starting out? Do you have any pieces of advice for them?
Yeah. I think that the most important things would be to do in-person sales.
Yes.
I was just at WPPI, and I feel like IPS is like a split thing. Like people will like boo, and then people will be like yay. So I think so when you do an in-person sale with the mom who just went through birth, had a kid, either if it was her, like, her first kid, her second, third, it doesn't matter. She just went through this whole like process. It's a big deal. She was just pregnant, and then you put these like baby pictures on the screen with music, and they just like start crying. And it's that emotion that if I just email them the pictures, they're gonna download the pictures, they're gonna be like, oh, here's my baby. It's not the same thing.
Right.
Like having her sit on the chair on the couch, showing her those pictures with this music, it really just gets so much more emotion out of them. And I think that's really important. A lot of my clients are like, I love how you do it. They love how I help them choose pictures. They love like me being there telling them you should get this one or you should get this one. So like for me, like if you don't do IPS, you're missing out on a lot. That's like my biggest thing. And it was our biggest thing when we were starting out in California, going from shoot and burn and then starting out with IPS. We didn't change nothing else except that, and that got us a $5,000 sale. So
it's intimidating to go from shoot and burn to IPS. And I think a lot of people, that is an obstacle for them, like in their own mindset. They just can't really like make the switch, I think. But it's a game changer, and it can make you go, it can help you go from, just getting by to actually like thriving and to like being able to make money off of your business. Because, just because we're creatives doesn't mean we need to be starving artists. And that is, a big mindset switch for a lot of people in this industry, especially newborn maternity photographers, I found, because they are so used to undercharging that any sort of pricing change to them is like, whoa, that's a lot. So I think that's great advice. Just jump right into IPS and learn the process. And when you have the process and you have the skills and you have the knowledge, it makes the IPS actually work, and it makes you more comfortable.
It does. And then like my second piece of advice, which is from Jen, like I tell that quote every day in my head. It's people spend money on what they want to spend money.
That's true.
Like you say that all the time, and for some reason that always has stuck with me.
Yeah.
So whenever you think it's a price change time. It's not a price, going down. You don't need to change your prices. You just need to market to a different, like you need to market differently. You're not reaching your ideal client. It's never that you need to lower your prices. you're not reaching your ideal client, because people spend money on when they want to spend money. And with newborns, it's just the same. I mean, everyone spends $1,000 on a stroller they're going to use for a year and then throw away.
Yeah.
They can
Absolutely.
spend 2,000 to 3,000 on pictures they're going to have for their whole
Rest of
life.
their life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely, for sure. Well, this was so wonderful. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So if people want to follow your work or find your work, how would they find you?
Yep. So our Instagram is at SteinArtStudio_photography. And then our website is SteinArtStudio.com. And I'm sure we can link it somewhere.
Yeah, in the show notes, we'll definitely do that. And if you are curious about this newborn mastermind course and the beta that we are launching, you can drop me a DM on Facebook, Jen Bruno Smith. You can send us an email. You can comment in the show notes, but I'm less likely to see those. So definitely join the Facebook group, and pretty soon we'll have a website, but it's not ready to go yet. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. We're so excited about this new course. I think it's going to change the Boudoir Mastermind has changed the lives of 1,000 students. And I know that this course is going to change the lives of just as many newborn maternity photographers once we get the information in their hands. And honestly, I don't think there's any course like it out there. There are a lot of newborn maternity courses. There are none that marry the studio side with the tech side as flawlessly as what we do at the High Rollers Club. So I am super excited to launch this course. If you're interested in the beta, make sure you drop me a note, drop us a DM, drop us an email, and we will get you started. So thank you so much, Christina and Caitlin. It was so good seeing you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.